will be on the general election ballot despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of current Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is
a mayoral candidate being challenged. The saga surrounding embattled South Suburban.
Tiffany Henyard, the self-proclaimed super mayor of Dalton, has finally turned herself in after an explosive FBI raid exposed years of corruption that had long been hidden from the public eye. While Henyard indulged in a life of luxury, her town of Dalton was sinking into financial ruin, leaving its residents struggling to make ends meet. Her extravagant lifestyle, funded by taxpayer money, has now come crashing down as she faces up to 25 years in prison on 22 federal charges, including misappropriation and concealment of millions in public funds. For months, the FBI tracked Henyard's activities, following subpoenas and rumors that hinted at her wrongdoing. And once they gathered enough evidence, they moved in, uncovering a scandal of shocking proportions. Once hailed as an untouchable figure, Henyard is now facing the full weight of justice, with a long list of charges detailing how she diverted town funds to finance her lavish lifestyle. One of the most blatant examples of her misuse of taxpayer money was a September 2023 shopping spree, in which she spent $7,700 at stores like Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair, an outrageous expenditure for an elected official entrusted with public funds. But her abuse of power extended far beyond shopping, as she refused to fly coach, instead opting for premium travel experiences, complete with a professional hair and makeup team. All while the people of Dalton were left to deal with their town's financial collapse. Under Henyard's administration, over $112,000 was burned through in travel expenses in just 1 year, depleting the town's once healthy $5.6 million surplus and plunging it into a staggering $36 million deficit. However, her corruption was not limited to personal luxuries. She also used government funds to benefit her family, further draining Dalton's already struggling resources. One of the most egregious examples was a jaw-dropping $561,000 payment for her mother's driveway, over $500,000 wasted on a single piece of pavement, while essential services suffered. Meanwhile, Dalton's police force was repurposed into Henyard's personal security detail, running errands for her rather than patrolling the town, allowing crime to run rampant. Officers who were supposed to protect the citizens were instead reduced to following her around like a VIP entourage, all while the town's finances crumbled. Her reign of excess and corruption ultimately came to an end when a former police chief, who had firsthand knowledge of her misuse of funds, could no longer stay silent. The whistleblower exposed the full extent of Henyard's wrongdoing, finally revealing to the public how their hard-earned tax dollars were being squandered for her benefit. As Henyard now faces the consequences of her actions, the residents of Dalton are left to pick up the pieces of the financial disaster she caused, their trust in local leadership shattered by the very person they had elected to serve them. The fallout of her misconduct has been devastating, with government offices locked behind closed doors and signs declaring their indefinite closure, leaving both residents and employees uncertain about the future. Henyard's tenure has been rocked by explosive allegations of fraud and mismanagement, with the latest revelations painting an even darker picture of her time in office. Even after her government-issued credit card privileges were revoked, she continued her reckless spending, throwing a lavish $55.00 town party featuring performances by artists Wyatt and Jay. Yet another example of her disregard for the people's money. Now, as her long history of financial abuse comes to light, Dalton is left reeling from the damage, struggling to recover from the ruin left in her wake. Henyard, the mayor of Dalton, is facing increasing public outrage after a lavish event she organized, where entertainers were paid $30,000 and $20,000 for 30-minute sets. On top of that, Henyard spent an additional $36,000 on a sound system, staff, equipment, comedians, and even bouncy houses, with the event attended by only about 70 people. The excessive spending sparked outrage among Dalton residents, particularly as it involved taxpayer money. Jennifer Roberts, a concerned citizen, voiced her frustration over what she saw as a blatant misuse of public funds. Former trustee Valerius Stubbs also condemned the event, calling it a wasteful self-promotion scheme. Henyard's actions have fueled public distrust, with both taxpayers and federal investigators closely monitoring her every move. The situation took a dramatic turn when Carmen Carlisle, Henyard's former ally and ex-right-hand woman, stepped forward as a whistleblower, revealing key evidence of Henyard's fiscal mismanagement. Carlisle provided federal authorities with receipts showing Henyard's misuse of Dalton funds over a period of 2 years. Her testimony revealed the depths of Henyard's alleged self-serving behavior, and extravagant spending, critics, including Stubbs, have pointed to the contrast between Henyard's lavish spending and the limited turnout at community events, further amplifying public anger as the scandal deepens. Many Dalton residents are demanding justice, feeling their towns' finances have been mismanaged to fund Henyard's self-promotion. Despite mounting criticism, Henyard has shown no sign of slowing down. Many believe this defiance will only add fuel to the ongoing scandal. As the FBI investigates her actions, the investigation, now bolstered by Carlisle's testimony, has put Henyard squarely in the spotlight. Federal authorities are scrutinizing every aspect of her administration, including her lavish lifestyle funded by taxpayer dollars, extravagant trips, and her personal security detail, which resembles a Hollywood entourage. The investigation is also delving into her financial dealings, including her commercial ventures and campaign finances. Authorities are examining her political allies and anyone connected to the alleged corruption. For years, Dalton residents have been calling for transparency and answers regarding unexplained expenses and questionable decisions made by Henyard. Activists like Brittany Norwood have been vocal in their criticism, amplifying the frustration of residents who feel their town has suffered under Henyard's leadership. For these residents, the FBI's intervention feels like a long overdue response to their cries for help. However, many are left wondering why justice has been so slow to arrive. Despite the mounting evidence throughout the investigation, Henyard has continued to carry out her mayoral duties, maintaining an image of business as usual despite the growing pressure. This defiance has only fueled public anger, as residents see her as increasingly disconnected from their struggles. Meanwhile, the FBI is reportedly using advanced surveillance techniques to track not only Henyard's potential wrongdoing but also that of her political allies. Rumors are circulating that several individuals connected to Henyard may soon face similar scrutiny. The scale of the FBI's investigation is expanding as the probe into corruption deepens. The scandal surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard has sent shockwaves through Dalton, leaving residents who have long seen their town teetering on the edge of financial collapse, grappling with the harsh reality that many of the people they once trusted may have been complicit in a web of corruption. Henyard, who had seemingly remained untouched by the growing controversy, stunned the town when she voluntarily turned herself into the FBI. One moment, she was continuing her glamorous lifestyle, seemingly unaffected by the storm of accusations swirling around her. The next, she was stepping into federal custody. The suddenness of her surrender shocked Dalton residents, leaving them to speculate about her motives. Why would Henyard abandon her opulent life and surrender so abruptly? Many believe that Henyard's decision could be part of a strategy to strike a deal with federal prosecutors, offering to expose other individuals involved in her alleged schemes in exchange for leniency. If this theory is true, it marks a dramatic shift in the scandal, as Henyard, once seen as untouchable, now faces the real possibility of legal consequences. Her voluntary surrender signals a significant turning point for both her and Dalton. Her once untouchable image has been shattered, and her surrender has given the public a sense that, at least for now, there may be a chance for justice to prevail as Henyard faces federal charges. The fallout from her actions continues to reverberate throughout Dalton, a town already struggling with financial instability. Now, in addition to the crisis, residents must contend with the staggering cost of her alleged corruption and the growing distrust in their local government. Dalton's residents are left to pick up the pieces, wondering how their town got to this point and what it will take to rebuild their shattered financial reputation. Henyard's rise and fall have become a powerful symbol of the dangers of unchecked power, manipulation, and corruption, and it is clear that the full extent of the damage has yet to be fully realized. Federal authorities are still piecing together the evidence, and with Carmen Carlisle's testimony and other documents now in hand, the investigation appears to have far-reaching consequences that will extend well beyond Henyard herself. As more details emerge, the people of Dalton are left hoping that justice will finally be served and that they can rebuild from the wreckage left by Henyard's reckless spending and self-serving behavior. The downfall of Henyard could ultimately lead to a brighter, more transparent future for Dalton. But only time will tell whether the scandal will spark the changes needed to restore faith in the local government, or if it will simply be another chapter in the town's troubled history. Henyard's fall from grace has become a cautionary tale, exposing the devastating consequences of corruption and the importance of holding public officials accountable. Once a figure of wealth and authority, Henyard lived a life of luxury, traveling in first-class comfort with personal makeup artists and indulging in a lifestyle funded by taxpayer money. But now, Henyard finds herself in a stark Cold jail cell, her glamorous image shattered, her finances in ruins, and her future uncertain. Reports have surfaced that she can no longer afford to pay her legal bills, leading to her lawyer abandoning her case. Henyard's rise to power, clouded by controversy, was fueled by a web of influence and manipulation, and the public is left to reckon with the consequences of having trusted such a figure in leadership. As the FBI investigation unfolds and more evidence comes to light, the town of Dalton is left to rebuild, and the people must confront the hard truth of what happens when those in power become corrupted by their unchecked authority. The financial mismanagement under Mayor Tiffany Henyard didn't happen overnight. Over the years, she allegedly used her position not to serve the people who elected her but to benefit herself, all while the needs of the community went unmet. As more evidence emerges of her abuse of public funds and opaque financial dealings within her administration, the residents of Dalton are left to reckon with the lasting damage caused by her alleged actions. Her eventual surrender to authorities, while offering a glimmer of hope for accountability, marks only the beginning of a long road to restore trust and rebuild the town left in tatters. Henyard's once powerful and dominant image has been swiftly and unforgivingly dismantled, with her history of financial recklessness and self-serving decisions leading to a significant erosion of Dalton's finances. Reports indicate that the town is now nearly $20 million in debt, with millions of dollars missing and unaccounted for. As the financial crisis deepened under Henyard's rule, residents became desperate. In a dramatic attempt to salvage the town, Dalton hired former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot at a hefty rate of $400 per hour to clean up the mess Henyard had created. This unprecedented step underscores just how dire Dalton's financial situation had become and how far the town had fallen under Henyard's leadership. Among her most egregious acts was her reported spending of $440,000 in a single day on Amazon, emblematic of her unchecked financial mismanagement that has now brought Dalton under federal and state scrutiny. As the town's finances spiraled out of control, the Illinois state controller was forced to step in, halting desperately needed payments of $135,000 to residents, a crippling blow that left the community struggling to see a way forward. Even after Henyard's resignation and subsequent surrender to federal authorities, the financial ruin she left behind continues to cast a shadow over Dalton, making it clear that recovery will be neither swift nor easy. The financial destruction, however, is not where the damage ended. Former employees of Henyard's administration have come forward with damning allegations, including lawsuits claiming wrongful termination for refusing to participate in dubious schemes. One such employee, identified as Boone Trish, is now suing Henyard, adding to the legal and ethical challenges the disgraced mayor faces. These lawsuits stem not just from Henyard's financial scandals, but also from her abusive leadership style, which created a toxic and oppressive work environment for those under her command. Beyond the financial malfeasance, Henyard's administration has been tainted by a series of disturbing allegations of sexual impropriety during city visits, including claims of sexual assault against staff members and accusations of intimidation against those who dared to oppose her. These revelations have decimated her previously polished image, replacing it with a portrait of an administration steeped in corruption, abuse of power, and exploitation. The public's outrage has only deepened as these new allegations come to light, leaving Dalton residents shaken and disgusted by the woman they once trusted to lead them. For the people of Dalton, the sight of Henyard in handcuffs has been a moment of relief, representing a step toward reclaiming their town from what many have referred to as an era of doom. However, Henyard's surrender has raised as many questions as it has answered. Many speculate that her decision to turn herself in could be part of a larger strategy, perhaps an attempt to strike a deal with federal prosecutors in exchange for leniency, or even an effort to implicate others in her alleged schemes. Whatever the case may be, Henyard's fall from power serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked authority. And for Dalton, the long road to recovery is just beginning. Mayor Tiffany Henyard's continued presence in office, despite mounting criminal charges and overwhelming evidence against her, has raised serious concerns about the integrity of the legal system and the power dynamics at play in Dalton. Some speculate that Henyard may be negotiating for a settlement or trying to shield others involved in her alleged schemes. Her defiance and apparent reluctance to relinquish her position have only fueled suspicions that she might still be attempting to manipulate the system for her benefit, which has intensified the sense of urgency among Dalton's residents, who are desperate for closure and the restoration of their community's dignity. While Henyard's surrender marked a symbolic turning point, it has not provided immediate relief from the financial devastation she left behind. The road to recovery from years of financial mismanagement, broken trust, and the emotional toll of her alleged misconduct will be long and difficult. Despite these challenges, Dalton residents are determined to reclaim their town and rebuild what was lost under Henyard's rule. The town must untangle the wreckage left by her lavish spending, address the emotional fallout from the abuse of power, and work to rebuild trust in local leadership. This will take time, and the community will need to ensure that future leaders are held to higher standards of transparency and accountability. As the legal proceedings unfold and more truths come to light, Dalton residents are beginning to see a path forward. The scandal that once engulfed their town is starting to fade into history, bringing with it the possibility of a fresh start. Henyard's downfall may not have solved all of the town's problems, but it has opened the door to real change, a chance to move away from the chaos and corruption of the past, toward a future built on honesty and integrity. Her demise has become a pivotal moment in Dalton's history, marking the end of an era of financial mismanagement, corruption, and exploitation, and signaling the beginning of the town's fight for justice, stability, and renewed hope. The question now is whether Dalton can seize this opportunity for real change. Will the town be able to rebuild a stronger, more united future? Or will the damage done by Henyard's reign prove too difficult to overcome? In the wake of Henyard's fall, residents are grappling with whether they can truly put the scandal behind them. For years, they lived under the weight of corruption and scandal. But the possibility of turning the page brings renewed optimism. With transparency, accountability, and a commitment to building from the ground up, Dalton has a chance to recover. Whether they can rise from the ashes of the scandal will depend on the strength and resilience of the community as they work toward healing and progress. Henyard's scandal has left a deep scar on the town, but it also represents an opportunity for redemption. The legal proceedings against her are far from over, and with each new revelation, Dalton inches closer to the truth. Whether justice will prevail remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: the people of Dalton are ready to reclaim their future and restore the community they once believed in.